So now we are going to look at the notion of a value function, right? So we have been talking about how we want to maximize the expected return, right, at every time step t, right. Our goal is to maximize the expected return at every step t. So to facilitate this maximization process, right, so we are going to define this concept called as a value function. Okay. A value function is a slightly more advanced concept than what we have been looking at so far, right, and you will see why this is a lot more subtle than what it seems at first as we go along, right. So let's look at what the notion of a value function is, right. So a value function is the expected value, right, expected future reward, right, or expected return that you are going to get starting from a particular state S, right, and following policy pi thereafter, right. So what do we mean by that? So let's look at this, right. So you are at some time t, right, so some time t, we don't know, so some generic time t, right, and you are in a state st, right, which happens to be small s, right. The state st, the time, the state that you are at time t happens to be small s. And then what you do is you pick an action. How do you pick an action? You sample a t by sampling from pi of s, right, by sampling from pi of s. Right. Remember what pi of s is? The probability that you will take an action A given that you are in state S. So you will sample from this pi of s and take an action, right. And now what will happen is that this will cause a transition to the next state, right, and you will also get RT plus 1, right. Both ST plus 1 and RT plus 1, right, remember this, right. Both of them are sampled from the probability distribution of S and R given ST comma AT, right. So this is basically the transition that is happening, right. And after that again you will have AT plus 1, that is sampled from pi of ST plus 1, right. We don't know what that is, and then it keeps going like that, right. So this is what we mean by saying you start at state S, right, and you follow policy pi thereafter, right. So at every state that you are going to encounter starting from state S, you will pick actions according to the current policy pi, okay. So that's what we mean here. So when we are talking about the value function, we are associating not only a state S where you start from, but also a policy pi that you follow. So we basically condition it on both the state S and the policy pi, right. And then what we do, we look at the total reward you are going to get. So what is this, a quantity that we have seen before? We know that this is essentially GT, right. So this is the return. So another way of thinking of V pi of S, it's the expected value of GT given ST equal to S, and you are following pi thereafter. So I put the conditioning on the pi here and the conditioning on the start state here, because pi is kind of fixed, right. It just doesn't change with time t or anything. So at every time step t, you are going to take actions according to pi, right, but you are starting at time t at the state small s. Okay. So I hope that's a clear to one. So that's the notion of the value function, right. So remember that it is an expected value. That means I am not looking at just one trajectory like we saw earlier. I am looking at taking the mean of the returns over many different trajectories, right. And remember that because of our definition of discounted rewards, we don't really require these trajectories, each of these trajectories to end, but we need to come up with some way of taking this average over all these trajectories. So we'll figure out how to do this as we go along, right. So this is the notion of a state value function, right. This is what we call as a state value function, right. So we also have a related concept, right? So we have a related concept that's called action value function, right? It's called the action value function, or sometimes also called as the state action value function, right? Not just the action value function. Sometimes you call it as a state action value function, but for short people call it the action value function. Okay. So what is the action value function? So the state value function allows you to compare the returns that you are getting from different states. Okay, what is the return when you start in state S1 versus what is the return when you start in state S2. Therefore, you can say which one is better, S1 is better or S2 is better if I am behaving according to policy pi, just in terms of the expected return from that state, right. So that's what the value tells you, right. That's what the state value function tells you, that it's the expected return from a state, right. You can compare two states with that. But suppose in a single state, right, I want to compare whether action 1 is better than action 2. So what we do in this case is say that, hey, look, I'm going to start from state S, right, just like we did here, right. So I'll just put that here, right. I'm going to start from state S, this is my ST, right, and my first action I'm going to take, right, the first action I'm going to take is the action at state S, right. So I'm going to say I will take that action A. I'm not sampling from any pi, right. So the first action I take is always A. Here the first action itself was sampled from pi. Here the first action I take is action A, right. Now that's going to cause a transition, right. I'll end up in some ST plus 1 and RT plus 1, right. So now again, as before, this ST plus 1 and RT plus 1 are going to be sampled from S comma A, right. So the probability of transition given S comma A, right. So this is essentially what I am going to use to sample my reward and next state from, right. So notice that it's not STAT, it is S comma A, right. So that's basically what it is, and this is going to cause a change to happen, right. And now, right, so once I am at ST plus 1, I have to look at AT plus 1, that is going back to my previous setting, and AT plus 1 is now going to be sampled from pi. Okay. The only difference between this setting and this setting is that the action at time t here was sampled from the policy pi, while the action at time t here is fixed to be action A, right. And one thing you should notice is that this is still the return starting from time t, except that here I would have counted the returns whenever we started from state S. Here, the second case, I am counting the returns, right, only when you start from state S and you have taken action A. Okay, is that clear? Right. Again, I have specified my pi, that's the policy that I am going to follow. I am also specifying the state at which I will start and the first action I will take, right. So what does this allow me to do? I can look at q pi S comma A1 and q pi S comma A2 and then compare these two. Okay, let's say first action I take is A1 and then I will follow policy pi. In this case, I will say first action I take is A2 and then I will follow policy pi, right. So the idea here is to see which one is better to do, right. If I'm going to follow policy pi thereafter, whether it is better to do A1 or whether it is better to do A2, right. This allows us to compare between actions and potentially change my actions, right. Remember what reinforcement learning is? It is a mechanism for changing, it's a set of algorithms for changing your policy, right, based on your experience so far, right. So if I have a q pi that I have already found, then I can use that to compare A1 and A2, saying that okay, q pi is all fine, but in this particular state, yes, is A1 better than A2. So I could do that comparison, right. Just like we had earlier, it is now I can still say this is expected value of GT given ST equal to S and AT equal to A. That's what q pi SA is. Okay. So there are two notions of a value function. So we have a state value function, right, and we have an action value function. The state value function and the action value function you could use either for some of the problems that we talk about, but as we keep going along, you will see that using the action value function turns out to be more beneficial in some cases, and therefore quite often we will end up using the Q function as opposed to the V function. So, V is the state value function, Q is the action value function. Okay. So, of course, these are not quite as independent as you would think, right? They are related. So, one way of writing my V pi, right, I can write V pi in terms of Q pi as follows, right. So, V pi of S is equal to summation over A pi of A given S times Q pi S A, right, correct. So, what I am doing here, I am saying that okay, I have to select action according to policy pi, right. So, if you go back and look at this, I am selecting an action according to policy pi, right. Here I have this A fixed. So, now what I need to do is just figure out, hey, what is the probability with which I would have taken A if I had followed pi, right. So, that is what this is. What is the probability with which I have taken A if I had followed pi, right, for times Q pi. Why times Q pi is fine? Because both of these are anyway the return, right. Both of these are the return starting from state S, right, except that this is a subset of these returns, right. So, summing over all A, I should get all the returns, right, that starting from state S, but I have to weight it by the probability of taking these individual actions. So, that is basically what this is, right. So, another way of writing this is actually, it is basically the expected value of Q pi S comma A, right, and expectation taken according to pi, right. So, that is basically the V pi of S can be written as Q pi S comma A, right. So, that is a easy way of connecting these two value functions. How about writing Q pi in terms of V pi? It is not quite that easy. So, we will defer that for a little later, right. It is not as easy as writing V pi in terms of Q pi, and this is a relation that we need, right? This V pi in terms of Q pi is something that we will use. Q pi in terms of V pi also we will see as we go along, right, but it is a little bit more involved than writing the V pi in terms of Q pi. So, now that we have seen this notions of value function, so we have done a whole bunch of work now to starting from the beginning, right. So, we started with states and actions, and then we defined this discrete time dynamics interacting between an agent and an environment, right, and then we looked at this notion of a policy that's a mapping from states to actions or action probabilities, and then we have seen the notion of an MDP. We have defined what an MDP is, and now we have looked at notion of a value function, right. So, we looked at returns, then we have now looked at this notion of a value function, right. So, how do I go about putting all of these things that we have seen together to solve an MDP, and what does it even mean to solve an MDP? What is it that we are looking for when I am trying to solve an MDP, right? We will see this as we go along.